Savitri is explaining how the divine powers have plunged into the darkness and the ignorance, and then necessarily they become distorted. This morning I was looking at some paintings by Huta, and there it shows the little divine soul plunging in to the darkness. And then as it begins to emerge from the darkness, it is obstructed by so many obstacles. So that is true for the divine powers as such. We were reading that even wisdom, she's the one who has to open up the roads of God to us, but even she is involved in this dark and dangerous game. So the way that she expresses herself to us here, it's often a poor self-righteous virtue. You do this and this and this correctly, and then you will become wise, you will become sattvic, you will become a spiritual being. Or she teaches us to use the reason, or our abstract thought. Or she may teach us just utility, how to be useful, the technique of a brief hour's success. So many people run after this these days instead of searching for real wisdom. Or she's just an usher, an assistant in the school of utility, of usefulness in the practical way. On the ocean's surface of vast consciousness, small thoughts in shoals are fished up into a net, but the great truths escape her narrow cast. Guarded from vision by creation's depths, obscure they swim in blind, enormous gulfs, safe from the little sounding leads of mind, too far for the puny diver's shallow plunge. Our mortal vision peers with ignorant eyes. It has no gaze on the deep heart of things. Our knowledge walks leaning on error's staff, a worshipper of false dogmas and false gods, or fanatic of a fierce, intolerant creed, or a seeker doubting every truth he finds, a skeptic facing light with adamant no, or chilling the heart with dry, ironic smile, a cynic stamping out the God in man. A darkness wallows in the paths of time, or lifts its giant head to blot the stars. It makes a cloud of the interpreting mind and intercepts the oracles of the sun. Yet light is there. It stands at nature's doors. It holds a torch to lead the traveler in. It waits to be kindled in our secret cells. It is a star lighting an ignorant sea, a lamp upon our poop, piercing the night. As knowledge grows, light flames up. As knowledge grows, light flames up from within. It is a shining warrior in the mind, an eagle of dreams in the divining heart, an armor in the fight, a bow of God. Then larger dawns arrive, and wisdom's pomps cross through the being's dim, half-lighted fields. Philosophy climbs up thought's cloud-bank peaks, and science tears out nature's occult powers, enormous jinns who serve a dwarf's small needs, exposes the sealed minutiae of her art, and conquers her by her own captive force. On heights unreached by mind's most daring soar, upon a dangerous edge of failing time, the soul draws back into its deathless self. Man's knowledge becomes God's supernal ray. There is the mystic realm, whence leaps the power whose fire burns in the eyes of seer and sage. A lightning flash of visionary sight, it plays upon an inward verge of mind. Thought, silenced, gazes into a brilliant void. A voice comes down from mystic, unseen peaks, a cry of splendor from a mouth of storm. It is the voice that speaks to nights profound. It is the thunder and the flaming call. Done the next one.
On the ocean surface of vast consciousness, small thoughts in shoals fished up into a net, but the great truths escape her narrow cast. Guarded from vision by creation's depths, obscure they swim in blind, enormous gulfs, safe from the little sounding leads of mind, too far for the purely diverse, shallow plunge.
So this is perhaps how our surface mind is, what we consider wisdom. Small thoughts, like little fish, shoals. There are shoals of fish. Fish move around in shoals, no? So, our searching perhaps manages to gather up some little fish in a net, no? But our net or our cast is too narrow to get the really big fish, the great truths. No? Our wisdom can't catch hold of those. They are kept away from our sight, guarded from vision by the depths, the deep, mysterious levels of creation. The great truths are obscure, they're difficult to see. They're swimming there like big dark fish in blind, enormous gulfs, deep abysses where one can't see. There they are safe from the little sounding leads of mind. Sailors, I don't know how it is nowadays, but they used to use a lead on a rope or string in order to find out how deep they were. And this was called sounding, finding out how deep you are. So those bits of lead on a rope, those sounding leads of the mind, they can't get anywhere near those great, obscure, hidden truths. They are too far away for the puny divers' shallow plunge. Some people fish by diving down, no? But you have to have a lot of strength, you have to be able to carry a lot of air in your lungs, and even then you can't get very deep down. So those big fish, those great truths are hidden out of reach. Suresh.
Our mortal vision fills with ignorant eyes. It has no gaze and the deep heart of things.
Yes, this is our problem. Our power of vision, of sight, of seeing things. Actually, it's as if our eyes are not very strong. If you peer at something, you screw up your eyes to try and see something better, because you're not seeing clearly. So our ignorant eyes are like that. They can't see properly. We don't have the power of vision, the deep gaze that can look into the very heart of things. Bhavan.
Our knowledge works leaning on arrow stuff, the worshipper of false dogmas, false gods, or fanatic of fierce intolerant greed, or a seeker doubting every truth he finds, a skeptic facing life is adamant no, or chilling the heart with dry ironic smile, a cynic standing out the God in man.
Yes. So our knowledge, it doesn't walk straightforwardly and sure. It needs a stick to lean on to support itself. But it uses the stick of error, trial and error, but also just mistakes. And we think they are such great truths. Our knowledge is often a worshipper of false dogmas and false gods. There are things that we think are true, and they are just not. There's some very interesting attempts nowadays to show that science has become something like that, a false dogma. There's the scientific method, which is supposed to have impartial inquiry and experimentation and trying to find out the truth. And as long as it's done like that, then it can lead us forward. But perhaps over the last 30 or 40 years, the materialist view that everything is only physical, or that matter is the only reality, this has limited science so much that the researchers feel that they're not even allowed to explore certain things. So we were listening the other night to some gentleman who said that it's really become like a religion, and if you ask the wrong questions, try to pursue certain lines of inquiry, you will be punished for that by your fellow scientists. You won't get the grants and the support, and you won't be allowed to publish your work, and nobody wants to know you anymore. So in general it's like that. We think certain things are true and we hold on to that, but they may be false dogmas, false dogmas and false gods. Or the other thing that our knowledge tends to be, we are so convinced about the knowledge that we have that we become fanatics. We think that only we are right and nobody else, no? And then we become, about our belief, we become fierce and intolerant and don't accept what other people believe. Or another thing that happens is the mind becomes a seeker who doubts everything he finds. Even if he finds something true, he's still questioning, can it be true? Is it right? No? So we call, if we carry it a bit further, then we call the person a skeptic, a person who's always just saying no, 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 I don't believe it, I can't believe it, it can't be right. A skeptic facing light, the light of knowledge, the light of higher consciousness, with an adamant no, always saying no, it can't be like that. It can go even further, that it's not just something from the mind, but it's something with the heart, chilling the heart with a dry, ironic smile. We mock people who believe or who feel that they have some knowledge. We refuse to take them seriously or honor them. And it can even be a cynic stamping out the God in man, brutally eradicating the gleam of the divine light. A cynic is a person who will take nothing seriously, mocks at everything. Mila.
Darkness wallows in the paths of time, or lifts its giant head to blot the stars. It makes a cloud of the interpretive mind and intercepts the oracles of the sun.
So there's a big dark cloud of doubt and hostility and falsehood. It's rolling about there in the paths of time. And we may see it lifting its giant head like a big black cloud, blotting out the stars. We can't see the light of those distant suns, no? So that darkness clouds our mind that interprets what it sees and experiences. No? And in that way, it intercepts the oracles of the sun. The sun is the supreme light and energy, or the physical sun is the symbol of that. And that light comes to us. But if there's this big black cloud in between, the messages that the sun wants to give us, the light that it wants us to receive, gets intercepted, blocked. An oracle is a divine message, a message from higher powers. Tone.
Blot is just to observe, no? Yes.
No, to blot. If the sun is shining and then a big cloud comes, we say the cloud has blotted out the sun. We can't see it anymore. Or the sky. Darkness comes. Tone.
Yet light is there. It stands at nature's doors. It holds a torch to lead the traveler in.
Go on.
Waits to be kindled in our secret cells. It is a star lighting an ignorant sea. A lamp upon our poop piercing the night.
Yes. So, but that sunlight is there, even if we can't see it. It's always there, and it's standing, illumining the doors, the doors that can lead us to knowledge, the doors of nature. And it's even holding a torch to lead the traveller in if we're on a quest. That light is within us. It's waiting to be kindled in our secret cells, in the cells of our body. That light is waiting to be kindled. To kindle means to light a fire. So that light of knowledge can grow up in our cells. And that light is like a star lighting this sea of ignorance. Maybe only a faint light, but still it lights things up. And it's a lamp upon our poop, piercing the night. The poop is the uppermost part of a ship. In some of Huta's paintings, we see that ship with the lamp, the light leading it. So that light is there, guiding us on our journey. Gomsun.
As the knowledge grows, lighted flames out from within. It is a shining warrior in the mind. From eagle of dreams in the divining heart, on armor in the fight, or bow of God.
So, as our knowledge grows, as we evolve and develop, that light flames up from within us. It can be a shining warrior in the mind. It can a warrior who protects and leads us. It can be an eagle of dreams in the heart. An eagle is a bird that can fly very, very high, and it lives high up. And traditionally we are told that the eagle can look directly at the sun. Its power of vision, it's not dazzled by the sun. Very, very clear, powerful eyesight. So the light can come in that form, some great, powerful, winged being that flies up and can see the light clearly. From the heart, from the divining heart, we could almost say the heart with its intuitions, with its non-mental knowledge. And that light will be our armor the light of knowledge, our armor and our weapon, a bow that the archer uses to direct his arrows. This is the light of consciousness. Praveen.
Shall I ask something about line 207?
Yes.
There is the word as knowledge.
It means when.
That's right. Okay.
And it suggests progressively. The more it grows, then the light flames up more.
Then larger dawns arrive, and wisdom's pomps cross through the being's dim, half-lighted fields. Philosophy climbs up, thought's cloud-banked peaks, and science tears out nature's occult powers. Enormous jinns who serve a dwarf's small needs exposes the sealed minutiae of her art and conquers her by her own captive force.
So this is when we develop further. Larger dawns, the opening of new lights arrive. And then wisdom really moves in her royalty, in her pomp, within her full power. She can begin to cross through the dim, half-lighted fields of the being. And then it gets expressed as philosophy, not focused just on utility, but climbing up these mountain peaks of thought. These are cloudy, of course. These are not very concrete. They're cloud peaks. But anyway, they are aiming at the heights. And science focuses on nature's powers, the hidden powers of nature. And he uses this word jinns. It's actually an Arabic word for a spirit. In the 1001 Nights, then there are several stories about jinns. They live in bottles. They've been captured. It means that somebody's got hold of the power of this spirit. But if you open the bottle, then you don't know what's going to happen. That spirit can be very, very powerful. So some of the discoveries that science has made are like that. Now they carry with them such enormous power that we may not be able to control them. But even when we control them, we use them for our small needs. You think what an enormous power electricity is, but we use it for all kinds of trivial purposes. We are the dwarfs. And science also exposes, reveals the hidden, sealed minutiae, all the tiny little details of nature's art, and finds out how to use these details and these powers of nature. Science conquers nature by her own force, by making that force captive to our purposes. Joel, you will read.
On heights unreached by minds most daring soar, upon a dangerous hedge of failing time, the soul draws back into its deathless self. Man's knowledge becomes God's supernal ray.
So beyond all this human wisdom, philosophy, science, and all that, higher than that, on higher levels that even the most daring soar of the mind cannot reach, Soaring is what a bird does, no? Ooh, up. So on those heights, there's a dangerous edge of failing time, where the soul can withdraw from time and space and manifestation back into its deathless self. Then man's knowledge turns into, it becomes God's supernal ray, God's light.
Why this is dangerous, this edge? Looks like promising, no? Maybe dangerous for the ignorance, because it will die.
It's dangerous, I think, because it feels dangerous. There you get dissolved. Your individuality gets dissolved. Just before the class I was reading the way that the mother was speaking about the way that there are things that feel very dangerous to us, the loss of our identity.
And this failing time is at the very furthest reaches of time, yes?
Where time is fading away, is ceasing to exist. Time, and then if time, then also space, and then also individuality, the manifestation as a whole.
Why this is failing then?
Failing, that it's coming to an end, it's losing its power. Who's at the back? Will you read, Chandra?
There is the mystic real that sleeps the power, whose fire burns in the eyes of sage and sage, a lightning flash of visionary sight. He plays upon an inward weight of mind, thought silenced gazes into a brilliant void.
Yes. So there's a mysterious realm, a kingdom, and from there comes down the power that burns in the eyes of the seer and the sage, the people who see beyond human sight. So their power of vision has come from a higher level, another world. No? It comes like a lightning flash of visionary sight. And sometimes lightning plays, it comes and goes. No? So it plays on some inward verge, an edge or borderline of mind. And then thought gets silenced, looks into a brilliant, shining emptiness. It can't discern what is there when it gets silenced.
Shraddhavan, in what context are these being told?
She's somehow showing that there's a connection between all the imperfections of our earth and the higher levels, even to the supreme levels. Yeah? And what starts out as ignorance, there are higher and higher and higher steps. She's describing them. I think she may even come to supermind. A little later on she does that. Sarojini.
A voice comes down from mystic unseen
Peaks.
A cry of splendor from a mouth of storm. It is a voice that spoke to nights, spoke is their thunder and their flaming fire.
Yes. So in that state where thought is silenced, gazing into this shining emptiness where it can't discern anything, a voice may come down. We've seen this in Savitri, how when she's there waiting, listening, then the voice comes down. We don't see where it comes from. It comes from unseen peaks, high mystic levels. And it may be a very, very powerful voice, a cry of splendor from a mouth of storm, a thunderbolt, lightning and thunder all at once, no? But that powerful voice is the voice that speaks to the very depths of the darkness, can reach into everything. It is the thunder and the flaming call that will wake us up to our higher possibilities. Patricia.
Above the plains that climb from nascent earth, a hand is lifted towards the invisible throne. Beyond the superconscious blinding line, and plucks away the screens of the unknown. The spirit within looks into the eternal's eyes.
So this is another kind of complete another level of knowledge. No? So above these planes, all these planes that climb up from this unknowing, unconscient earth, it's as if a hand reaches up towards the realm of the invisible, what cannot be seen, the transcendent. It goes even beyond this hand, goes even higher than this line, this brilliant, blinding line of the superconscious, what we can't become conscious of because it's so bright and shining. But that hand plucks away, gets hold of the screens of the unknown and tears them down. And then a spirit within can look into the eyes of the eternal being. So then we read about the spirit, Lela.
It hears the word to which our hearts were deaf. It sees through the lens in which our thoughts grew blind. It drinks from the naked breasts of glorious truth. It learns the secrets of eternity.
Thank you. So that spirit within, it looks into the eternal's eyes and it hears the word of creation, which our hearts couldn't hear. It sees through that blazing light where our thoughts got dazzled and grew blind. That spirit can drink from the naked breasts of glorious truth. Truth is the nourishing mother, and the spirit can draw its nourishment directly from the truth. And then it learns the secrets of eternity. So that's a kind of culmination, a fulfillment, a realization. So she's described the whole process from the plunge into darkness and reaching up towards the light, step by step by step. The light of full consciousness. Mihong.
Thus all was plunged into the rippling night. Thus all is raised to meet a dazzling sun. O death, this is the mystery of thy reign in earth's anomalous and magic field, carried in its endless journey by the sun. Meet the first marches of the great dumb stars. A darkness occupied the fields of God, and matter's world was governed by thy shade.
Thank you. So she says, this is the way in which everything has been plunged into this darkness, this riddling night where we can't understand anything. But in the same way, step by step by step, all this is raised up to meet that dazzling sun of supreme consciousness. And then she says, and O death, this is what your rule, your reign is all about. No? You are that darkness in this anomalous, where there's so many contradictions, this magic field of earth, which seems to be being carried on its aimless journey by the sun, the force of the sun's gravity. And all this is happening amidst the movement of the great dumb stars. He says forced marches. Soldiers sometimes have to make forced marches. They have to quickly go on and on and on and on. No? A darkness occupied the field of God. You, death, the world of matter was governed by your shape, death. You, the darkness and the denial. Martin?
Thy mask has covered the eternal's face. The bliss that made the world has fallen asleep. Abundant in the vast, she slumbered on. An evil transmutation overtook her members, till she knew herself no more.
So this is what you have done, death. That you are only a mask, but still you've covered up the true face of the eternal. And because you could do that, the bliss, the delight that created the world has fallen asleep. I think here she is earth, abandoned in this vast emptiness of space. She went on slumbering, and of course the bliss that made the world has also fallen, is also sleeping. And so this evil transmutation, this dark, false change has come over every part of her until she can't recognize herself anymore. She no longer knows who or what she is. Bhavan.
Only through her creative slumber frail memories of the joy and beauty meant under the sky's blue loft mid-gleams scarfed tree, and happy spannings of sense and hue in the field of the golden promenade of the sun and the vigil of the dreaming light of the stars amid high meditating heads of hills on the bosom of voluptuous rain-kissed earth and by the sapphire tumblings of the sea.
Yes. So the she is the bliss that made the world, the original creative force. So she's asleep, but even in her sleep she's creative. Her dreams are creative, and her memories, frail, weak and unsubstantial memories of what was intended to be, all the beauty of earth, under the sky's blue laugh, amidst these green scarved trees. And there's so much squandering, there's such a multitude of perfumes and hues, and all this is the field where the sun takes his promenade, he strolls in the golden field. And then at night there's the vigil of the dream light of the stars. A vigil is when somebody stays awake through the night. And there are these hills with their high meditating hills. All this beauty was meant to be on the bosom of the breast of the voluptuous rain-kissed earth. There's a wonderful delight in the rain also, and the sapphire tumblings of the sea. All this beauty that was meant. Rosa.
But now the primal innocence is lost, and death and ignorance govern the mortal world, and nature's visage wears a grey hue.
Yes, the primal innocence, what was intended in the beginning. That purity, simplicity is lost. Now death and ignorance are ruling in this mortal world, this world that is subject to death and ignorance. And so the face of nature, it doesn't have that brightness and innocence and sweetness which it used to have. It's grown grey. It's been touched by this greyness of death and ignorance. So that's where we'll stop today. Shall we go back to line 182? On the ocean surface of vast consciousness, small thoughts in shoals are fished up into a net, but the great truths escape her narrow cast. Guarded from vision by creation's depths, obscure they swim in blind, enormous gulfs, safe from the little sounding leads of mind, too far for the puny diver's shallow plunge. Our mortal vision peers with ignorant eyes. It has no gaze on the deep heart of things. Our knowledge walks leaning on error's staff, a worshipper of false dogmas and false gods, or fanatic of a fierce, intolerant creed, or a seeker doubting every truth he finds, a skeptic facing light with adamant no, or chilling the heart with dry, ironic smile, a cynic stamping out the God in man. A darkness wallows in the paths of time, or lifts its giant head to blot the stars. It makes a cloud of the interpreting mind and intercepts the oracles of the sun. Yet light is there. It stands at nature's doors. It holds a torch to lead the traveller in. It waits to be kindled in our secret cells. It is a star lighting an ignorant sea, a lamp upon our poop, piercing the night. As knowledge grows, light flames up from within. It is a shining warrior in the mind, an eagle of dreams in the divining heart, an armor in the fight, a bow of God. Then larger dawns arrive, and wisdom's pomps cross through the being's dim, half-lighted fields. Philosophy climbs up thought's cloud-bank peaks, and science tears out nature's occult powers, enormous jinns who serve a dwarf's small needs, exposes the sealed minutiae of her art, and conquers her by her own captive force. On heights unreached by minds most daring soar, upon a dangerous edge of failing time, the soul draws back into its deathless self. Man's knowledge becomes God's supernal ray. There is the mystic realm whence leaps the power whose fire burns in the eyes of seer and sage. A lightning flash of visionary sight, it plays upon an inward verge of mind. Thought, silenced, gazes into a brilliant void. A voice comes down from mystic unseen peaks. A cry of splendor from a mouth of storm. It is the voice that speaks to nights profound. It is the thunder and the flaming call. Above the plains that climb from nescient earth, a hand is lifted towards the invisible's realm. Beyond the superconscient's blinding line, and plucks away the screens of the unknown. A spirit within looks into the Eternal's eyes. It hears the word to which our hearts were deaf. It sees through the blaze in which our thoughts grew blind. It drinks from the naked breasts of glorious truth. It learns the secrets of eternity. Thus all was plunged into the riddling night. Thus all is raised to meet a dazzling sun. O death, this is the mystery of thy reign. In earth's anomalous and magic field, carried in its aimless journey by the sun, mid the forced marches of the great dumb stars, a darkness occupied the fields of God, and matter's world was governed by thy shape. Thy mask has covered the Eternal's face. The bliss that made the world has fallen asleep. Abandoned in the vast, she slumbered on. An evil transmutation overtook her members till she knew herself no more. Only through her creative slumber flit frail memories of the joy and beauty meant under the sky's blue laugh, mid green scarfed trees, and happy squanderings of scents and hues, in the field of the golden promenade of the sun, and the vigil of the dream light of the stars, amid high meditating heads of hills, on the bosom of voluptuous rain-kissed earth, and by the sapphire tumblings of the sea. But now the primal innocence is lost, and death and ignorance govern the mortal world, and nature's visage wears a greyer hue.